You think your financial life is made of decisions. It isn't. It's made of revisions. Most people don't remember what they believed before they bought the stock, before they held the loss, before they ignored the warning signs. They remember a cleaner version, a smarter version, a version that protects their self-image from the humiliation of being wrong. And that is where the danger begins. Because the mind that loses money is rarely the same mind that tells the story afterward. Your brain was not built to be an honest accountant. It was built to keep you functional. In older environments, accuracy mattered less than coherence. A creature that froze in shame after every bad choice did not survive very long. The nervous system needed a faster strategy. Compress the mistake, blur the pain, move on with a usable sense of self. So the brain learned something elegant. It learned to edit. Not with obvious lies, with softer distortions. A missed signal becomes unclear information. A reckless entry becomes calculated conviction. A panic sale becomes risk management. The event stays in memory, but its edges are sanded down until it no longer threatens identity. And in markets, that ancient survival feature becomes expensive. You can tell yourself you always knew the asset was unstable. You can say you were being cautious. You can insist the loss came from bad luck. But the portfolio remembers the part you are trying to soften. And this is where it turns dangerous. Once the brain learns it can rewrite financial pain, it stops learning from it. A financial mistake is never just numerical. It is social. To lose money is unpleasant. To feel foolish is worse. And to feel foolish in a status-driven world is intolerable. That is why people do not merely protect capital. They protect the appearance of competence. In evolutionary terms, status was survival. If the tribe saw you as chronically poor at judgment, your place became fragile. Your voice lost weight. Your security weakened. Now place that ancient status system inside modern finance. A trade goes wrong. An investment thesis collapses. A confident prediction ages badly. Suddenly, the loss is no longer about money. It is about intelligence, identity, rank. And when the brain feels that threat, it begins editing the past so the self can remain intact. I wasn't really convinced. I was testing the position. I got out for other reasons. I would have sold earlier, but the timing was unusual. Notice the pattern. The ego does not deny the event. It changes your role inside it. You are no longer the person who misread reality. You become the person who was almost right. That revision feels harmless, even sophisticated, but it poisons judgment because the next decision is now built on counterfeit memory. And counterfeit memory produces a very specific kind of investor, one who keeps returning to the same fire, convinced it was fog. The human mind has a vulgar little habit. It takes credit in bright light and hides blame in shadow. When an investment works, the brain attributes it to skill, pattern recognition, discipline, foresight. When it fails, the explanation changes tone. Market conditions, bad timing, irrational participants, unexpected news, manipulation, noise. This is not analysis. It is self-preservation dressed as interpretation, because the brain cannot easily tolerate a cruel possibility that some of your strongest financial convictions were not intelligent at all, just emotional impulses, wearing expensive language. So after the outcome, the narrative shifts, quietly, automatically. The lucky gain becomes proof of talent. The careless win becomes evidence of strategy. The obvious mistake becomes a complex exception. And over time, this creates a grotesque distortion. A person starts living inside a custom-built mythology, where they are consistently sharper than the record suggests. This is why some investors look experienced but remain psychologically primitive. They have years in the market, but no real scar tissue, no genuine contact with their own errors. That is the real threat of rewritten history. Not that it makes you dishonest with others. It makes you unusable to yourself. At some point, the human mind stops managing positions. It starts managing narrative. This is the darkest shift, because once a person becomes attached to the story of who they are financially, they will defend that story with astonishing aggression. The conservative investor remembers every disaster they avoided and forgets the slow wealth they never built. The reckless investor remembers every spectacular gain and erases the years of avoidable damage. The chronic loser remembers intentions. The market remembers behavior. The mind would rather preserve dignity than preserve accuracy. But markets are not moved by dignity. They do not reward the cleanest self-story. They simply expose the gap, between what you say happened and what actually controlled you. So the real danger was never just that people make bad financial decisions. It is that the mind quietly edits those decisions into something emotionally survivable, and then calls that editing wisdom. Money does not merely test what you know. It reveals what your mind is willing to distort in order to keep respecting itself. Because once your memory starts working for your ego, your future starts reporting to your past.